You're welcome once again to another edition of our learning program. I believe you're fine. Today's subject is natural science, ecosystem. What are we supposed to achieve at the end of the lesson? At the end of the lesson, state the habitats of organisms or where organisms live. You can identify organisms which live in specific habitats. At the end of the lesson, you can state the habitats of organisms or where organisms live. You can also identify organisms which live in specific habitats. Be ready for the lesson. Now, what is a habitat? What is habitat? Living organisms live in different places. Even human beings do not all live at the same place. Some live in town centers, that is urban areas. Others live in rural areas. In the same way, non-human organisms also live in different places. Some live on trees, in rivers, in holes, on lands, in the forest, and in ponds, etc. So each organism has a unique place where it stays. Where these organisms stay are their habitats. A habitat refers to a place where living things lies or stays successfully. Organisms can therefore stay successfully either on land, air, or in water. The common types of habitats are land, water, and air. The common types of habitats are land, water, and air. Very good. Let's continue. Look at some animals and their habitats. We have organisms that live on trees, that is birds, and we also have insects as well. Organisms that live on land, yes, you can name them for yourself. And we have organisms that live in water as well. I know you have a lot of them babbling in your mind. Yes, you can jot them down as you go through the pictures. Very well. Now let's observe these animals. What is their habitat? They live on land, in water, or in the air. Where can they be found? Good. If you said water, then you're right. Organisms that live in water have their habitat to be in water. Now, water habitats are also known as aquatic habitats. Aquatic habitats. You may be asking, what of land? Land habitats is also known as terrestrial habitat. Terrestrial, that is land habitat. It's also known as terrestrial habitat. Good. Let's continue. Knowing specific habitats of organisms. Organisms that live in water. Some organisms can also survive only in water. Such organisms feed and produce their young ones in water. They are known as aquatic organisms. Examples of organisms that live in water. Okay, that's what we looked at, and you're right, yes. These are aquatic organisms, or organisms that live in water. Let's move on. Organisms that live in water. Some organisms can also survive only in water. Such organisms feed and produce their young ones in water. They are known as aquatic organisms. We've looked at the examples already. Water is not the habitat for a goat. So you could see from the picture on your right, those goats are going to fight for their lives, because if they don't survive on what they are standing on, that means they will drown, because water is not their habitat. Now on your left, you can see a fish out of water. Yes, a fish is an aquatic animal. It's an animal that lives in water, and so its habitat is water, or in water. And so when the fish comes out of the water, it may die, or it will die eventually after some time. Can you mention organisms that live on land? Alright. If you said yes, then you've done well. We are going to mention some pretty soon. Don't worry. So you see that different organisms live successfully in different habitats or places. For this reason, if a fish is brought out of water, it will die. That is after some time, or eventually, because it is not supposed to be on land, or it cannot stay on land. Land is not its habitat. In the same way, if a goat is put inside water, it will also die eventually, or after some time. And so we must know specific habitats of organisms. And where they can live successfully. Good. Some organisms can also live both on land and in water. Some examples, or a few examples, are frog and toad. They can live both in water and on land. Good. Now we come to the conclusion of our lesson. Before we conclude, let's observe these key words. The natural home of organisms is where it can successfully live and survive. The natural home of organisms, or habitat of organisms, is where they can successfully live and survive. 1. We have terrestrial organism, the animals that live on land or in land. Terrestrial organisms are animals that live on land or in land. Aquatic organisms, they are organisms that live in water. Arboreal organisms are the organisms that live in air or trees. Very good. Now, what have we learned so far? Good. we learned about habitats of organisms, or where organisms live. We also learned about identifying organisms which live in specific habitats. Thank you for your time and attention. Now, your assignment. What is a habitat? There are dash common types of habitats. Name the 3 types of habitats. Give 2 examples each of organisms that live on A. Land, B. Water, C. Air. I have a bonus question for you. Explain the following habitats. 1. Terrestrial habitat. 2. Aquatic habitat. And 3. Don't write it down for me. I want you to memorize that. See you same time. Stay safe. Bye for now.